All right, so hello, my name's Terry. I'm part of the ACM. I'm also a member of the CAT. If you have any questions about either of those, let me know. We do have the brain dump orientation coming up if you want to become a member of the CAT. We also have a CAT bar camp if you're interested in that. Let me know about either of those. They are very rewarding experiences. So, when you're getting into starting how to program, one of the environments we're going to expect you to learn is how to use the Linux in a command line interface. When I first started programming, I was used to using Windows and using an IDE. These were very different tools in a very different environment than I had first started. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. The school also offers several tools, but because they are kind of not mainstream, you're not required to use them. But I feel it's very crucial that these are mentioned and at least allow you to learn how to use them so that you can make use of them for your whole career. So next week, we are actually going to be talking about how to use Vim. That becomes more and more popular as time goes on. Another alternative is Emacs. I know Vim, and not a lot of people were interested in Emacs, so we're going to talk about that. After that, we're going to talk about Git. Git is for version control and becomes vital, not only during your schooling, but afterwards when you're actually starting a career path, they will expect you to at least be familiar with how to use Git. We're going to just take the tip of the iceberg and kind of play around with it. We also have some other classes that will talk about Python, some AI, how to use GDB, troubleshooting, stuff like that. We also might add some more, depending on what you're interested in. If you go through those classes and you see we want to learn something specific, let us know. We're here to help out, okay? Any questions on that? Okay, so we're going to talk about Bash. So this is the shell we're using here. Some of the other popular ones are going to be Fish, but we're using Bash. It's a command line interface, and it was developed with the GNU project shell. This stands for the Born Again shell. And way back in Unix days, this was kind of the way people talk to computers. There are some things you can do with a command line that is very hard to do with a GUI, or a graphical user interface. So we're going to talk about this. Okay? Does anybody have trouble getting to a terminal? Either on your laptop using PuTTY or CyberDuck, or you can just log in and use a terminal in your computer. Is everybody looking at a terminal screen right now? Okay? Yeah. Do you not have a login?
Yeah, I have it, but it doesn't work.
Okay. Are you an MKEC student?
In what?
Are you a computer science major?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Do we use the PDX?
No, you should use your MKEC's student login and password.
I didn't get it. From where we can get it?
You can go next door to the CAT and just get. They'll give you a printout with a username and password. You're going to need to give them your ID. If they say you don't have one, come back and we'll get you logged in. Don't worry. Okay. But yeah, don't worry. We can give you a temporary account if they don't have access to give you one. Okay. Okay. So very common commands. What I want you to focus on doing is typing as little as possible. That's going to become a running theme during your career and as a student and later on. Typing takes time, so you want to limit the amount of typing. It sounds kind of counterproductive, but you want to actually do the least amount of work possible, the least amount of keystrokes to make a complete command line path or an entire program. That's why when you're writing a function, you're writing it with the idea of reusing that bit of code as many times as possible. All right? So, tab complete. When you're typing in something, you want to be able to auto-complete it as quick as possible. When you're first coming up with a directory structure, you might want to think about stuff like capitalization, how long the file names are, whether they need to be there before. I personally like having a set of directories that instantly I see them and nothing else is there. So when I first started, I had a CS162 folder in my active directory. I then go, and after I'm done with each class, I put them in my documents folder. Everything in that is now not in my path that I'm actually using. We're also going to talk about some other tips and tricks to just get into an environment to start coding very quickly. If you get lost down in your directory structure, cd tilde, so right above the escape key, or right above the tab key, you're going to see a weird little tick mark along with the tilde. To go back to your home directory, cd tilde, so cd is change directory, tilde is take me to my home directory. The next is the ls. That tells you, hey, what all is in this folder where I'm at right now. The flags. When you're trying to change what the context of that command is doing, you're going to do flags. That hyphen says, hey, I want you to do something different than normal. The L is the long list that tells you when it's going to be made, and the A is hidden directories. So if you go to your home directory and you type ls-a, you're going to see about 3 different folders that start with a dot that you didn't see before. When you want to see when they were created and what the permissions are, you would do an ls-a. To put them both together, you do a ls-la. Okay? To make a folder, you want to put all of your new work in one folder, in one directory. You're going to say make directory and then give it a name. Linux is case sensitive. It's not like Microsoft where you can do uppercase and lowercase. If you decide to make an uppercase letter, that is now a required character for that directory and for any file name. In order to find stuff, the find command can be very useful. To remove things, you're going to use rm for files, or you might need to do an rm remove the directory. Man is also very useful. If you remember the first part, such as you want to find the hidden folder, but you can't remember the -a argument, if you type man ls, you'll see all of the options for ls. Same thing with Vim or Nano, depending on what you're using. You can actually look at, and we're going to actually explore those different flags for Vim next class. If you don't remember something, try to man it, see if you can find it. Okay? Aliases are a crucial part we're going to go over today. This allows you to type in something very short and do something very complex in a very fast operation. As long as you understand what's happening, I want you to start getting used to that. When we get into alias, one of the caveats I really want to drive home is if you are in 162, especially when you're getting new to this stuff, you're going to be running around and there's the real world in which you're going to be trying to code as efficiently as possible and get your homeworks done as fast as possible. You are then, however, going to need to code in front of somebody for a letter grade. And you're going to be in a very specific environment. Your aliases are not in that other environment. So if you get dependent on the aliases, you need to make sure that you at least practice enough so you know what you're doing, so when it comes up and you don't have access to that alias, you still can do what you need to get done. Okay? The up arrow, that will actually take you to the previous commands. This comes very important when you're doing very repetitious stuff, such as you're compiling your code, it breaks in a specific way, and then you need to go and modify that. That is more part of the Vim workflow, but I want you to start getting used to those commands so you don't type them again and again. Okay? Does anybody have questions on any of these or want to bring up another handy one that they like? Yeah. We're going to go over that. I know it's very complex, but we're going to spend about 10, 20 minutes specifically about that. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to start setting up your environment. what you're going to do is I want you to type each of these commands one at a time. So you're going to cd from root. We're going to a hidden folder called stash, going to the ACM folder in that hidden folder, and then go to profile. And then you're going to actually list what's there. Those three folders that we're about to look at, they're all hidden. You don't actually see them unless you put -a there.
Yeah, no such file or directory.
You need to put a space between the...
Oh, the CD?
Yeah,
Ah,
CD.
gotcha.
Yeah, so the CD is the very first part of that command. You're going to change the directory into that path. And then you're going to copy these three files. These are actually three different segments: CP, space, the file name, space, and then the tilde. What you're literally telling the computer to do is, I want you to copy this specific folder, or this specific file, and I want you to move it to my home directory. 3 different times, and then I want you to change directory back to your home directory. Okay? Is anybody having issues? Yeah. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay, just put a space between the CD, so up arrow, and then put it back to here, and then hit space, and then hit enter. Perfect. So now you are actually there. Okay?
Is the default behavior to copy over? Like if you already have a vimrc file set up, like
Yes, it's going. It will override it. Okay. So if you, I'm sorry, did you already do
No, I didn't
modifications?
do it. That's why I was asking. I
Okay.
haven't
So
moved anything yet.
unless you specifically have gone over and done this before, you do not have these set up. And if you already have them, let me know. But yeah,
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, what does the tilde mean again?
that's your home directory.
And what does it mean?
Change directory. So you're changing the directory back to your home. So see how you were here and the $sign's here? So it's letting you know where you are. And then you say, I want to go back to my home directory, and now you're back at your home directory. Okay? Yeah.
Did I forget a space or anything? Or the ls? And then
Oh,
tilde?
that's a hyphen, not a tilde.
Oh.
So ls-a.
Oh, there's
Oh, not a tick. That's changing the command. So Control C, and then ls-a.
Oh.
Space. Oh, you need a space there. Yep. And then an A. Perfect.
Okay.
And now you see those things. Okay? And now go ahead and move those 3 folders. Okay. Yeah. Something wrong?
Yeah, I didn't work. I don't know why.
Okay, try that
Maybe
again.
they need this sometimes, I think, to activate the password.
Okay. Oh, did you put this character in?
Yeah. A.
Okay. 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 Okay, perfect. There you go. All right, so Once you're logged in, go to a command prompt. You're going to do Control Alt and T. That's a shortcut to bring up a terminal. So we're going to do that. And then I want you to type in those commands there. So cd space // Oh, nope, space. Perfect. Oh, nope, you got it right. There we go. So just to go over this again, we're going to change the directory to a folder, inside another folder, inside a third folder. So that whole line is a path to a specific place that's not on your computer. Well, then we're going to see what files are there. So if you did the ls, you wouldn't see any of these files. These are all hidden files because there's a dot in front of each of these options. And then you're going to ls-a, and you'll actually see these. You're going to copy those three folders, or those three files, and then you're going to go back to your home directory. Okay. Did those work?
I did inside the folder, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay, that's fine. Go to the next one, CP. Space, and then .bashrc. Space, and then the tilde. Perfect. Hit enter. Okay.
Inside.
And then cp.vimrc, space tilde. Did anybody else have any questions before we go on? Okay. And then cp.bash_profile. Just hit tab. Oh, never mind. There we go. Okay. All right. So now, what all did we just do? So what I want you to do is those three files, we're going to actually look at them. I've got a little bit more in my directory, but is anybody not comfortable using Vim?
Not comfortable?
Not comfortable using Vim. Okay. So what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use cat, and we're going to use .bashrc. And we're going to take a look at what showed up. Okay? When we actually go and modify it, if you're not comfortable using Vim, go ahead and use Nano or whatever you usually use. Do you use Nano? Okay. We're just going to walk you through Vim then. It's good practice. Don't worry. Okay? So since we're going to do that, because I want you to get familiar learning how to do this, okay? This first part, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, you should see this right here. So when you're in the Git class, you'll actually see the usefulness of this. We'll actually change your command prompt to know what status the branch you're on will be. That will make more sense in a few weeks when we do that. The next set will, I don't think you guys use it anymore. Okay, so anyway, here's the crux of the class right here. These are the aliases that you'll do. Notice when I did an ls, it did different colors. Okay? Whereas all of your command prompts, we're all in black and white. This first line on my line 25, alias ls equals ls -- color equals auto. That allows me to quickly do an ls and know if that program is executable, it's a directory, or it's just a plain thing, the computer thinks it's just plain text. Okay? What that does is when I type ls, it's actually replacing my ls with that full line in that single quotes. Okay? Another one is if you're in one of the Carla classes, this vim o comes in real handy. Is anybody familiar with that flag that I have, that -p, who uses vim?
The tabs.
It is tabs. So what I'm telling it to do is when you get advanced enough in those Carla classes, you're going to have a bunch of CPP files, you're going to have a bunch of header files, and I want them all to open from where I am, and I want you to open them in separate tabs. This command is very useful later on. Until then, you might open it in like sideways or horizontal, but it's a good idea to get in your workflow and say, hey, I want you to open everything right now. You've also got some compiling flags. When I'm troubleshooting, I want to open it with specific flags. So when I compile it in G++, I want you to compile all the star.cpp files. Notice how there's no header files, so you can't make the mistake of compiling not header files. With a G flag, which means I'm ready to run it in GDB, and I want you to treat all warnings as errors. However, instead of typing all of that out, I'm writing 4 characters and counting on the computer to replace it all. Yeah?
Will it let you try and set an alias to, like, if you just said C++, for
Yes,
example?
be very careful with what. It will, because right now we're replacing ls.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Okay, so just be careful with it. What I like doing is trying to, when I'm coming up with a new alias, type something and make sure nothing happens. But it is something to be very careful with. Okay. One of the things I want you to take away is when you are writing out a certain line of commands, if you're doing it continuously, I want you to think about using a command prompt, or making an alias for it. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to add a new alias. So go ahead and vim this file, okay? And at the very end, I want you, or actually before that, I want you to make a file from your home directory. So if you're not in your home directory, type in cd space tilde. And then I want you to type in mkdir, so make directory space cs162. Capitalization counts. If you don't put it in lowercase, make sure that this next step is all in uppercase. But I would recommend just making it in lowercase. Does anybody not understand what I'm asking you to do? Okay.
Q, and then hit enter.
Oh, do :QW.
Oh, QW.
Yep. Oh, flip the 2. WQ. All right. Okay, yeah, just do a :W or a Q and then an exclamation point.
Wait, what? Colin?
Just a Q. And then, oh, nope, not an uppercase. There we go. And then exclamation point. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now, okay, so you're still in the stash one. Did you copy those files over to your home directory?
Oh, no.
Okay, so go ahead and do that. Do CP, so do ls-a. Oh, take your caps locks off. Space,
Oh,
-a,
which one is the hyphen again?
right there.
This one?
This one right there.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then hit enter. And then I want you to type CP space this tilde or space tilde, and then CP space this, space tilde, and then this. Okay?
Oh, all right.
If you have problems, let me know. Yeah.
Where am I supposed to type in the command to?
At your home directory. So go ahead and quit out of this. Colon Q.
Cool. And then,
So escape. You're in insert mode, so hit escape, and then colon Q. Hit shift and then colon. Oh, hit escape. And then colon Q. Oh, not in uppercase, lowercase. And then enter. There we go. Now do that again.
oh,
Oh, hit escape.
maybe I changed it. Ouch.
Hit U to undo. There we go. And then colon. And then Q. Perfect. Oh, hit colon Q and then it, lowercase q and an exclamation point. Yep, that'll be fine. Okay, there we go. Okay, now make directory 162. Does anybody not make the folder yet? Yeah.
It says missing destination file. Open in the third / thing.
Okay, you need a space between here, and you also need an underscore.
All right.
So hit the up arrow, and then you're going to put a underscore under.
Okay.
Yep. There we go, and then put a space after the profile,
All right.
and then hit enter. There we go. Okay. Did you get all three of those moved?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I still have
Get the other two then. Yep. Yep. Yeah, not the swap file. I'm going to have to go take care of that. Okay. So what I want you to do now is I want you to use this alias, and I want you to write this out exactly as what we see here. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I want to start working now. So what I see a lot of people doing is they will sit down at their computer and they'll say, okay, I'm ready to start working. And they type ls and say, okay, now I need to go to my 162 assignment. So I'm going to cd into CS 162, and I'm going to type ls again and say, okay, this is where I want to be. And then they're going to say, I need to vim this specific file. And so we're going to type vim and then the folder, or the file. And now we can start working. What I want you to get in the mindset of is, why would we do that every single time we sit down to get to work? What I want you instead to do is sit down at the computer and type work. And it's going to then take you to that directory and then run this command. That command that we talked about before right here on line 28 is I'm going to open all of those files in tabs. So what you have now changed is all of those commands in order to get ready to start typing, and changed it to one word. You have now, every time you are ready to sit down and start working, have saved probably tens of seconds every single time you have sat down to start programming. That in and of itself will save several minutes on just one class. Yeah?
I lost here because we write them to get this stuff. So I lost.
Oh, okay. So right now we're in the bash RC. And then space. Oh, yep. There we go. Okay. So now go ahead and make a new alias. So it's going to be alias work equals and then that.
Without
Say that again. You add in another L there. Okay. Yeah. I'll be right there.
So these three of them. I guess it went well, I guess. I don't know.
Say that again?
I did these three of those, where it was.
Okay, so you got all three of those files made?
Yeah.
Okay, so type cd and then space tilde. Okay? And then go ahead and add that line.
Oh, would that be them,
Work equals, let me pull that up. This one right here on line 42. So you're going to type I, or go down to a new line. You're going to type I for insert, and you're just going to type all of that out. Yep. You see how in the lower left corner you see insert?
Oh,
Oh, okay. So go ahead and do a vim space dot bash rc.
dot bash. Oh. Underscore or?
Nope, just bash rc,
Oh, bash. Oh.
and then enter. Okay. Now we're going to go to the bottom. Okay, now type alias space work equals. And then, yep, there we go. And then just exactly match how it says cd space tilde. Yeah. Yep.
Are you supposed to change directories into that folder and then copy line 42 in?
No, so I specifically want you to go type vim space dot bash rc
Let's see, what is that again? Dash.
dot, nope, just dot bash rc. Nope, just dot bash rc. Type bash rc. And then enter. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. And then do Shift G.
Do what's that?
Type Shift G. That's going to take you all the way to the bottom. Now hit O, and that's going to give you a new line. And then type alias work equals, and just do that line. Yeah.
Am I supposed to type it in here or in?
Nope. I want you to type, yeah. Okay. Vim space dot bash rc. Go back. Oh, do a cd dot dot. Space dot dot. Nope. Space dot dot. Now hit the up arrow. And then, twice. Yep. Enter. There you go. Now type Shift G, and then O, and then start typing. Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me get him first, and then I'll come right to you. Yeah.
I'm just not quite sure why this isn't working.
Because we haven't gotten to it yet. Oh. So you're trying to execute it?
Yeah, I was assuming.
Because we haven't told the computer to look at this file yet.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to get there. I just want everybody to see the magic of what's going on.
Is that a problem that there's brackets around this?
No,
Or-
that's fine.
Okay, because I didn't see
That's-
it on others. Like,
Because you have actually done it. I presume you logged out and logged back in?
yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Oh,
We're about to get to that step. You're just a little bit ahead. How are you doing? That's all right. Yeah.
I want to ask, how exactly do you use alias? Like I did copy the files,
Yeah.
the bash files,
Yep.
bash rc, bash.
And did you make that alias?
I'm not sure how what would you
Do a vim.bashrc.
Okay.
Oh, you got to spell it right.
Sorry.
Quit. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so make a new alias. So, yeah, just alias space work, and then just copy that right there. Okay. Yeah.
I was wondering, how do I use ls to use the alias, or do I just already could use it in the terminal?
We're going to do that right now. Okay. Is pretty much everybody comfortable with where they are right now? Okay. So now we're getting a lot of conversations of, hey, none of these aliases work. Let's go. I typed all of this stuff and nothing's happening. So there's two ways we can fix this. One, we can log out and log back in, which is where if we look at the dash underscore, let's look at this. You're going to see source tilde backslash dot bash rc. It's going to say, hey, anything special when I'm loading you up? And you say, hey, I want to go look at this folder I've been playing around with. It will then allow you to do this. So if you type this command, source tilde backslash dot bash rc, or you could just type source.bashrc. You'll see your command prompt now has these square brackets like mine does. And all of that stuff we just put into it is now accessible to you. So now you can use that vim o, you can use that, does alias work? So if you actually go into that CS162 folder and you create a file, you can now directly go to it from wherever you are. Okay?
We only have to do this once.
We only have to do this once. That's why you have that that bash underscore profile is part of the files that you pulled over. So, but the first time you can either source it or you can log out and log back in. You doing okay?
Log back in again?
You just type exit and then log in again. It's fine.
Exit.
Oh no.
Oh,
Uh,
over here?
so save and quit out of here. Nope. In here, because if you just quit, you're not saving it.
Oh, yeah.
So hit escape, and then :QW.
QW?
Yep. :QW. Nope, not just Q. Do :Q.
Oh. Oh.
Shift. Do shift colon. Q.
Is it okay if I'm
Your mouse is useless right now. Don't touch the mouse.
Oh, right.
For this whole class, don't touch the mouse now. It's not going to do anything, so don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Just :Q. Nope, you got to type. Okay, and then do it again.
Oh, wait, that's Python.
Nope. Okay, there we go. And then Q. There we go. And then enter. Oh, I'm sorry. You need a WQ.
WQ?
Yep. There we go. There we go. Okay, and now you can do a source. Okay. Yeah.
What is the source command?
So the source command is telling the computer that you're not using a standard shell. You've personalized it with the .bashrc, but the computer doesn't know what a .bashrc is. So you have to tell the computer, I want you to load a profile using all that is inside the .bashrc. Okay? Yeah.
How do we get out of here?
Colon WQ.
W. Okay, thank you.
Okay. How are you doing? Oh, you need to be out of insert mode. Hit escape. Now :WQ. Yeah. Say that again.
Can we go back to the?
Okay, so we're going to hit escape. Hit escape, and then :WQ.
And then run.
Yep, colon.
Okay.
Oh, hit escape again. There we go. All right, hit a colon. And then, oh, no, you're right. Do it again. There we go. And then WQ. There we go. Did you copy the files over? Oh, okay. So that's why you're running into that problem. You're going to have to hit colon W and then an exclamation point. Q? Nope. Q? And then an X. Oh, not a capital Q. You got caps lock on. There we go. And then exclamation point.
What is that direction?
This one right here. So shift number 1. Yep. There we go. Okay. Now do a CD space tilde. Nope, just CD. Yep. There we go. Okay. So yeah, you'd have to just do it again. But we're going to switch. If you want to keep working on it, I'm going to keep going to the next thing. Okay. So now we're going to go. Oh, yes.
So it didn't show me the export path. Or
That's fine. As long as it didn't error you out. I've got something different going on. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this before we go on to the next file? Okay. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and do a vim on the vimrc. Okay. So if you'll notice, when I open stuff up, it looks a little bit different than yours is. All of these documents are for you to modify and make them yours and make you just a little bit better to get you through these systems just a little bit faster. That's why we're here. So when you're looking and trying to compile a program, a very common error will be, hey, look at line blank. So why don't we just look at the line numbers while we're going through it? So instead of setting the line number every single time we open Vim, we can say, hey Vim, when you open, I want you to look at the .vimrc, and I want you to do this stuff. So it's actually looking in this thing and saying, oh, I need to run all of these commands. So set number actually makes the numbers that you'll see on the left side. When you want to highlight the search, so if you're looking for a specific variable name, you can actually do a colon and do a search. You can actually do a backslash, not a colon. And it'll actually highlight while you're typing it in and say, oh, that was the place I was looking for. These are specific ones that I found very handy. The wild menu, so when you're opening up a new file, it will actually say, these are the files that are matching your path right now. And it will help you find what you're looking for. You have some that are commented out later on when you're taking a class called CS333, Operating Systems. You'll find these come in very handy. White space will matter on some programs. That's why you'll see some of these things. C-type languages do not care about white space. So you don't need to worry about, hey, what is coming before and after? Stuff like Python, when it becomes very important to know the difference between a set of spaces and a tab, it's nice to know, am I looking at a tab or am I looking at white space or am I looking at spaces? Some link collectors will absolutely be very unhappy if you mix up with this, if there's some trailing white space. So there's some stuff in there in order to remove it. Okay. Does anybody have questions on what this is doing? Okay. I know this is kind of a whole lot, especially if you're not used to using Vim, but this can actually help you quite a bit. Now, be very careful with what you throw in here. A very common one is, in my Vim program, I can use my mouse. Absolutely, Carla would be very unhappy if she caught me using a mouse, especially in front of her. So you need to be very careful with what you do here. She is not going to care that you have the set line numbers, that you do searches, that you have different ways to make your code better. She will absolutely be very unhappy if she saw you touching your mouse during one of her exams, though. So be very careful. Also, these are not in place when you're doing those exams. So that's why I had you not do this on Quizzer. When you're ready to take those types of exams, you get onto Quizzer, and that'll be the environment that you will have for the test. Okay? Any questions on this? This is also where you would set backgrounds and stuff. So some people like Elf Lord, if somebody's seen that, or Shiny. This would be where you could set those. Okay? Any questions at all? Okay. Let me see here. These last two ones I find especially useful. If you find yourself hitting the Q button, you'll go into a recording mode. I have never found it useful. I'm just going to lay that out there. Never found it useful. Some people love it. It's how you write macros. So you can make one keystroke do a lot of really cool things. However, I've had it nothing but get in the way. If you wish, you can add this no remap, no map, no more. Just, it makes it ignore Q. I'm sorry. It just makes it so it ignores Q's, and it will never make it so you can use the macro at all. Okay? Another thing is this would also be where you could do a no map on your arrow keys. So you would disable your arrow keys to make it so it would be more like how Carla wants you to do. Okay? Any questions on any of this? Okay. So we're coming up kind of close on the end. Did I not cover anything that somebody would find very important or would like to know? Okay. If you have any questions, I am a tutor here also. If you see me and you're like, hey, do you mind if we do some one-on-one time on this? Or I need to cover some stuff. So like we just had a conversation on permissions, which is very important for 333. You can email me, you can grab me in the hall, you can come to the tutor hours. There are several tools at your disposal. Okay? The next class we have, it's going to be at the same time, it's going to be right here, and we're going to actually go through the process for how to program. Okay? I very carefully make sure that each of these classes are in the order in which I find most important. When people come in and they are not familiar with the command line interface, it's very hard to even start talking to the computer, which is your first step. The next one, we're actually going to talk to the computer, but we need to do it in a way a computer understands. And then the third one is we're going to actually do get, and those three are very vital. I find them very, very important. If that's the only ones you can do, that's fine. We also are recording them, definitely, but this is very important information, okay? All right. Is there anything else I could do for you guys? Yeah.
Other than the aliases that you showed, do you have them like stored anywhere, or like ones you would recommend for new students?
What I want you to do is you're going to need to personally monitor. When do I type the same thing over and over again? So if you saw my list of aliases, it is much longer. And there's a reason for it. I've been doing school stuff for a little while. But if you can imagine, when I'm running VM homework, so this was for a security class, this was for me to just log in to start homework in a virtual environment. Now, you could type all of that out every time you wanted to start homework. Or, I also didn't feel like memorizing that entire string. I can, however, remember VM homework What also was nice is when I took a similar class the very next term, I changed the alias. I didn't have to learn a new command. So this is why it's very important. Also, sometimes the VM would break. So I had two aliases that would do slightly different things. So depending on what you need, you're going to, when you're doing your classes, you're going to see yourself repeating certain phrases, certain commands. I want you to either, and make it personal. So when I took CS333, this was my boot command. This is an entire command that I ran several times a day. I do not remember what any of that stuff does. But I know it made my virtual machine boot. And that's all I cared about. And so depending on what classes you take, it depends how important it is for you. You're going to see these get very difficult. This is another thing. When I'm doing my Rust homework, I remembered Rust homework. And I would actually change the path that I would open depending on what assignment I was working on at any time. So this line right here, when I was working on the saddle points part of that homework assignment, would change. So there were about 5 different assignments, and I would change that little part for all 5 of those assignments. So whenever I wanted to start work, that's what I would type in every single time. But once I would go to the next assignment, I would just change that. And that's what I want to pass on to you guys, is you want to catch yourself when you're repeating something more than once and figure out a way, at least think about it. If you're going to just do it once, you can set it and forget it. But if you're going to do it more than once, think about making something that's rememberable, okay? Anything else? Okay. Hopefully I'll see you next week.